this game week 7.
And we jump in to some of the most impressive players so far in this game week. It is the TARRASCH variation of the Queen's Gambit declined. And we saw a quick flurry of tactics there. The Black Queen came out to check the king and to win back a piece that had been sacrificed earlier. This is still very well-known theory. And instead of the main move, which is the white pawn stepping forward to e3, the white queen coming out. I've never seen this before from anyone at the top level, but Sarana plays it and has forced Duda to think now. So it's the first time we've seen Duda behind on the clock. So far today, he's been super speedy, super strong. But the rook is coming to harass the Black Queen, to hit the knight behind it. And Black does have an isolated pawn, so I'm liking Sarana's opening choice, especially if he's prepared here. He's so dangerous with white.
Yeah, and he seems prepared because look at how much time Duda is spending. I mean, usually he is just blitzing out moves in the opening. This is one of the first times, I think, in the entire day today that I've seen Duda not be leading on time after the opening.
Yeah, and okay, already making some small mistakes. Dropping his queen back, but now his queen got hit, his knight got hit, and he's dropping a pawn in the center. Something has gone wrong for Duda. I'm expecting the white knight to just go and grab that pawn. It can be cemented next move by his own pawn in the center. Material advantage for Sarana. He's got everything he could have dreamed of from this opening. Maybe just considering whether to attack the Black Queen first. That could be a fancy move to throw in. Looking very, very good. And I guess you gain confidence beating Magnus Carlsen, right?
But I'm also feeling like Sarana in that previous game against Magnus, he was leading with the pawn, and then he actually managed to notice the moment when Magnus messed up. I mean, there's also several times where Magnus does this, but players kind of, they just assume that Magnus, he would never make such a big mistake. You kind of trust your opponent too much. So the fact that he even picked up on it with less than a minute on his clock was very impressive. And now he's in the lead. He's playing against Duda. He knows that this is a very good opportunity. Should he trade queens here?
Yeah, I think he will want to trade on his own terms. Taking the queen would allow a black knight to centralize, so maybe he'll say, okay, we can trade the queens if you want, but I'll develop. There we go. First of all, so now he'll get a very strong knight in the center if Duda does capture. Duda had to trade queens. The black king otherwise might have been vulnerable in the center, and a mistake. The white bishops are going to be super strong in a moment on these diagonals. The rooks are going to come into the action first, though. Duda in big trouble. Level material, but the bishops are super strong for white.
Wow. And Sarana, he has won Titled Tuesday so many times when they had the old format of having 3 minutes and then an additional 2 seconds for every move you play. But if he can manage to win right now, that would be very important for him. When we look at the standings for this split 2, you get 10 points for winning, which would actually send you into the top 10, just that on its own, because there are so many different players participating every week, and getting that one first place is enough to put you on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's like gold dust at this point. All the top players want it. That's why they're all playing this week at Titled Tuesday. All of those top 5 players here in action. And here we see Sarana dropping his bishop back. Duda desperately trying to trade pieces, but that's not going to guarantee safety. Again, white's bishops are just so strong. The black knight is now totally stuck on this side of the board. I wouldn't be surprised to see a pawn come up to push that piece away as well. And what's black even doing? I don't really see a plan here. Sarana's just going to start pushing everything forward as well. The bishops are dominating this board.
Yeah, so here we actually see a case of the bishop pair being a very big advantage. And we can also notice that nobody is trading off any rooks for now. Like you were mentioning with the previous trading situation, David, you kind of want to be the person who accepts the trade so that your piece ends up on the good square. And so there's like a waiting game between these two rooks that are just staring at each other infinitely.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of the key point to this position. The rooks, neither side wants to blink, and if Duda's reduced to making waiting moves like this one, yes, it gets the black king some breathing space, no back rank checkmates, but it doesn't really change much. Then yeah, Sarana can start pushing happily his pawns forward. The reason I suggest here is because you want to remind black that he's vulnerable on this diagonal as well as the other diagonal. Bishops are so good at looking both sides of the board, and on both sides you're weaker. Sarana does Russia though a bit, does trade rooks in order to hit the black bishop. He's going to come forward next and hit the knight as well. He's not going to stop there. I'm expecting Duda to offer a trade, which Sarana should dodge. That did feel a bit rushed. Can he keep his advantage here? He's very direct, Sarana, as a player. He's always playing the most kind of straightforward moves, the most straightforward variations. Doesn't like to wait around and maneuver. So it is kind of true to character. But there we go. He has to keep the bishop pair alive. But this white bishop no longer as impressive as it earlier was.
And Sarana's also being mindful of keeping his time advantage, as we saw he also was with Magnus. It feels like whenever he gets like a 30-second lead, he really clams onto it and tries to keep it as like a trick up his sleeve when they are approaching the time scramble towards the end. Then it's nice to have an extra 30 seconds. So he's keeping pace with Duda here.
Yeah, keeping pace. That's a great defensive move from Duda. White wanted to push a pawn forward, go pawn hunting with his own rook. But Black's rook has ideas of its own, hitting the white bishop right now. So the status quo just about being maintained. Sarana here wants to avoid ever having to trade off his A pawn. That is the potential winner, potential queen. Oh, he trades off the knight. Got a better structure now, but I don't know. The lack of bishop pair. He could have done this any time later. There was no need to rush.
The good thing for Sarana, if he is hunting for the win, is that the bishops are on the same color. So that increases the chances of winning, and he does have a better pawn structure. But yeah, now it feels like it's a little bit easier for Duda because that knight was really the problem in his position, and now he's kind of gotten rid of that issue.
Yeah, I felt like he tried to cash in just a little bit too early. And even if he can win a pawn, for example, the bishops come off, and let's say Black's 2 pawns disappear for White's 1 pawn on the edge of the board, then if it's just pure rooks, it's still a drawn endgame.
Ooh, and look at the clocks as well. Now it's actually Sarana who has less time. He's spending too much time here. I would be worried against Duda, who's really good at blitz chess, bullet chess, online chess, and making really quick moves. Ooh.
Yeah, it feels like Sarana's lost the thread a bit. And sometimes, I mean, he did everything perfectly up until the moment he took that black knight. Sometimes you just need to keep peace on the board and just move, move, move. Keep the pressure and hope your opponent eventually falters. There we go, pawns disappearing. This is suddenly looking like a very holdable endgame. White's rook is very passive. Black's rook is the one tying it down. And Duda's done everything right so far.
Oh, and instead of trading off pawns there, actually Sarana decides to make a passed pawn. But how is he going to make any progress now?
Yeah, I don't like Duda allowing this passed pawn. I think he could have kept his pawn a little bit further back. On f6, for example. The way White eventually wins this is to take a bit of a risk and to go round for this pawn, make it 2 versus 0 on the king side, or to walk around with his king.
Oh.
And he's going for it.
So Sarana, he still has ambitions of winning this game. He's down to less than a minute. So is Duda, who now needs to react to this very obvious threat that is incoming. And he's just been moving his rook back and forth.
Yeah, but now the white rook gets in. Oh, big loss of time from Duda, who's allowed the white rook to get in and behind and round. It's going to be 2 connected pawns for White. Black's 2 pawns on the other side are going to be so slow at marching in comparison. The king's coming too. This is suddenly over.
Wow. Just like in the game with Magnus as well. It was like there was suddenly someone just flipped a switch and suddenly Sarana was winning and he pounced on that opportunity immediately.
He loves his rook endgames.
Yeah.
Beating Magnus and now beating Duda in a rook endgame. The white pawn's clearly the more dangerous of the pair. The white rook stops the black pawn. And there we go. Not much to do here for Duda. He resigns.
Wow.
Sarana still on 100%.
Amazing performance.